everybody. Hello, hi, my name is Lexi, and today I want to share with you how I plan on making friends this year, in the great year of 2023. Usually when I bring up making friends, people kind of automatically assume that I have like buttloads of friends and that I don't struggle with making them because I am naturally an extrovert. I love social situations. I love working with people. My job is literally people. And so it's automatically assumed that I don't have any trouble when it comes to making friends. But making friends as an adult can be kind of weird and pretty complicated, as I found. I have recently found myself just really longing for more connection, and kind of wanting more for my friendships, but I feel really guilty and maybe like a little shameful in wanting more of that connection. I think it's just kind of we've built in on like how we should be friends or how we shouldn't be friends. So it feels a little weird in wanting that. Also, kind of like I mentioned before, in being an extrovert, it feels weird having this conversation with myself on wanting to make friends just because I typically gravitate towards groups of people and social settings. So it's kind of weird and makes me a little uncomfortable kind of just thinking or having that conversation with myself. But even being an extrovert, the pandemic happened and I just kind of became uncomfortable in social settings. I think that's a majority of the world. They were so discouraged. It kind of like I fought myself in wanting to be social, and now I'm trying to reverse that fighting myself. And now I'm at a place where I still need to be mindful of social settings, but not in the same capacity as it was back in 2020. And during 2020, I was really focusing, instead of like things outside of my bubble, I really worked on myself. I was going to therapy. I was really trying to learn like what hobbies do I have, what do I like to do, what do I hate doing, working on my self-image, and that was really great. That was super. These were all things for a lot of years I've been needing to work on. So the pandemic gave me the space to be able to do that. And I really became more comfortable and okay with being alone, which is super. And I did get hobbies, and I was able to learn what I absolutely despise doing and did my best to get it out of my life, which was super. But then, more recently, one day it really hit me that I was lonely. And while I do have a fiance that I live with, it wasn't like lonely of having people in my immediate space. It was also like I felt bad. I also felt bad about the friendships I had and what I actually wanted from friends in this space like now. Now, I absolutely need to do a really quick disclaimer based off what I just said. I do have friends. I would 100% be lying if I said that I was someone who had no friends. I don't have anybody I can go to if I had a hard time. So that's not a true statement. But a majority of my friends do live in a different state. They still live in California, and I'm here in Arizona. And I also do have a few friends here in Arizona. But a majority of them are either from a job that I had back in 2019, or they're friends through my fiance. And there's nothing wrong with that, or anything wrong with the friends that I have created. It's just like sometimes it feels like either we were more of co-workers than friends, or that they're more related to my fiance than myself. And while I don't anticipate my fiance and I breaking up, I just think about like I wouldn't put them in a position to have to choose between me or him. So in my mind, they're more his friends than mine. And also something that I have realized too is that I also just wasn't that great of a friend in general to be able to better those connections. So then it would be less like they're more of a coworker or they're more of my fiance's friends, things like that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And I also have to say, I didn't just wake up one day and say, I want more friends, I need more friends, or anything like that. It actually came about because I was scrolling through TikTok. So while I was scrolling through TikTok, I came across this wonderful creator. Her name is Danielle Bayer Jackson. She is a female friendship coach, and her video really stuck with me. She talks about practical ways on making friends with other women, really kind of diving into why do things feel so awkward or uncomfortable when you're trying to make those female friendships. And I just really started consuming her content because I was like, wow, this feels like she's talking to me. And kind of like reading or going through all of her content through like TikTok and Instagram. She also has a podcast. And she also has a Patreon group that I joined, and I read I read a couple of the books that was recommended, but two like real main things stuck out for me. So one of those, the first thing was like, I really had to put myself out there to be able to make friends. And that doesn't just mean like going physical places. I need to actually get out of the house. Yes, that is true, but also that I needed to be vulnerable. I am naturally an oversharer, and I create false connection or false vulnerability, but I need to foster and create actual being vulnerable with others. So that was one. And then two, I had this idea that I was a really great friend, but in reality, there are some areas that I'm really lacking. Kind of like I said, I create false like connection with one another versus like true, because I don't want anyone to hurt me, which that's a whole topic in therapy in itself. So that was part of it. But also I've been really, really good friends with people who were really crappy friends to me. So I really needed to do like an audit of that and figure out what exactly I had going on. After really looking more into the resources that Danielle had recommended, I brought it up in therapy because my therapist is great, and this is what we're talking about wanting to feel more comfortable and also kind of overcoming some of my social anxiety that has developed because of the wonderful pandemic. And that I brought it up, like I said, I brought it up to her because I wanted to try new ways to be a better friend to my current friends, and then how to make more friends as a 30-something-year-old woman in technically a new city. And so for weeks, my therapist and we kind of came up with different like plans on kind of how I would accomplish this. It was more of kind of like spitballing and thinking about and really sitting with like what I would actually feel comfortable in doing. I didn't want to just go back into forcing myself into doing things to either please others or just do what I thought was the right thing to do versus what actually felt like the right thing to do to be able to make friends. So as of today, I have decided to make the jump in the stage of change to the actual action part. I'm going to actually start doing something with all the information that I've gathered and all the like resources that have been offered to me to actually take a step into being a better friend and making more friends. So now let's talk about some of those ideas on how exactly I'm gonna make this happen. So like the first thing I mentioned, I have to put myself out there. So number one, that does include me leaving the house, but kind of having a plan or a thought about what exactly am I gonna do. I know I'm not gonna have like a meet cute at Trader Joe's and then I'm gonna magically have a best friend. Definitely not how it works, but I am gonna be trying like different activities and classes of things that interest me and that I think would put me in the same space as like-minded people. So like I've really been enjoying, I took a ceramics class that I really enjoyed. Same with like, I have a Peloton, but I love my Peloton and I spin, so like maybe do some spin classes. The girlies love the Pilates and I really do want to try cooking classes, meetup groups, things like that, just to kind of put myself in physical locations where I think I would meet some like-minded people. This one was more my therapist, which was trying an app. So I know that there's like Bumble BFF. And this one I think feels the most uncomfortable for me, mostly because one, I definitely used Bumble when I was single and I had some very interesting stories from the app. I also like saw, there was like a trend for a while on TikTok of people talking about like how they met a girl off Bumble BFF and they robbed them and all these other like really shitty stories. And so I think that kind of put me off, but I did decide to kind of try to find the opposite because, you know, negativity always sells. I tried to find the positive Bumble BFF stories and I saw a lot of them there. You have people who were bridesmaids, their best friends. I think I saw one where like somebody donated a kidney or like donated some bodily organ that was super helpful. So I do believe that is out there. It just requires me to be positive. As far as also being a better friend, I'm gonna really work on being the one to reach out to the person. I'm usually the kind of person that's like, oh, well, if someone wants to hang out with me, or if someone wants to do something, they'll reach out to me. I won't reach out to them because I worry that I'm bothering them, or like they have a million other things that they'd rather do than hang out with me, which isn't true. I have now learned that that is trauma. Everything is a trauma response. And that realistically, if someone wants to hang out with me, like, they may also be afraid to be the one to initiate, and there's nothing wrong with initiating and also somebody rejecting you. But again, that's a whole trauma response in thinking that way. And then in addition to just something else I can do to just be a better friend, I recently read this book, which is Platonic, How the Science of Attachment Can Help You Make Friends and Keep Them. And it was super eye-opening for me. It really took kind of a scientific and practical approach of me looking at my like attachment style and figure out where I was having trouble being vulnerable to make friends. As I mentioned, I had actually joined Danielle's Patreon group, and I got a really good sense, an even better sense of like where I just wasn't a good friend. In addition to that book, also just kind of seeing and the challenges that were presented in that group. So like I said, I'm going to work on reaching out first, and I'm going to be better at being honest with my friends, not just sharing all my highlights or all the good things that happen. While I know the people that I know and my friends now like love hearing about the positive things, I have to learn that they will also support me in the less than favorable times. And just being open and honest, and not just saying also not people pleasing, not just telling them the things that they want to hear, but sharing me as a whole person. And then the hardest part, being vulnerable and holding space for others to be vulnerable with me. The same way I have trouble opening up, I sometimes have trouble receiving people opening up to me. And I just need to be mindful of that and just work on creating a better space to make that happen. I will also say, like, I'm definitely going into this with like a really open mind. I truly understand, one, that there's like no time limit. I may not make any friends. I may make a whole bunch of friends. It may take way longer than I anticipate. And I'm probably gonna be extremely uncomfortable during the whole time because it's just a difficult situation for me to tackle in such a strategic, open way versus like thinking there is like a roadmap. This is how you make friends. You need to have this many friends. I need to have a bridal party of 30 people, you know, things like that. But I'm also not looking to make hundreds of friends. More really to work on like my connection and also just be a better friend myself. Why are we here? What's the purpose of this? I think there's a lot of information out there on the internet or just in the ether of like how to make friends, but there's not really a lot of practical examples of people actually trying said information and the advice. I think we see a lot of the positive, make it look easy, anyone can do it kind of stuff, but not really the like tougher, like, oh, there's a lot more that goes into this than just giving out compliments. And I really want to try to be an example and maybe even a little inspirational, not a whole lot, just a little bit. I also feel like this kind of opens up and starts the road of like being able to be vulnerable with others by being vulnerable on the internet, because people are very honest on the internet. I'm putting myself out there, you know, on the internet, as I said, and the internet is absolutely ruthless at times. So what will videos that talk about this kind of look like? It'll probably be a little bit of wonky vlog footage of me going out and trying new things. Not putting any strangers on camera without their consent, because I think that's weird. I think we should do away with that in 2020. No posting randos on the internet without their permission. Probably maybe also some more structured videos and updates about what's happening. Maybe filling out things like my Bumble BFF profile. I don't know. I have really strong feelings about the Bumble BFF part, but we'll see how that goes. But I would also love to hear, like how other people have made friends. If you've had really great success stories on Bumble BFF, that would be super cool. Um, Maybe it'll help kind of streamline me to being able to find some friends as well. Uh, I'm super appreciative, like, for all of you kind of to join me along on this journey. I hope that it inspires or encourages to make everyone feel confident and wanting to put themselves out there without feeling like it's going to be the end of you. And I'll see you next time.